Well, talk about things coming back from the dead. It's my first video in I think 7 years. Today we've got Video Game Superstars presents Capcom's Resident Evil. We've got Jill Valentine with her aim and shoot action, and a web spinner with catapulting spider attack. The Resident Evil line was from Toy Biz. In the gray box we got this wall of text. It's talking about how the elite force for the Raccoon City Police Department, the STARS group, which stands for Special Tactics and Rescue Squad, comes to the mansion outside of Raccoon City in the forest and is met by all sorts of zombies and zombie dogs and lose a good deal of their squad in the first place. We've got a little bio here about Jill here, who is of course the master of unlocking things, which we learned very early in the game from Barry. And it talks a little bit about the web spinner, which is a creation of the nefarious Umbrella Corporation, who's doing all kinds of horrible things at the mansion. The Jill figure boasts authentic video game actions with rocket launcher that fires, and if you blast the spider in the face, it looks like it's going to shoot out a bunch of smaller spiders. Well, that's pretty cool. This line only seems to have a few characters available. You've got Chris and Jill, the two protagonists. Forrest, who's one of the ill-fated Alpha team from STARS that gets completely annihilated. Of course, the 8-inch Tyrant, which is the last boss of the game. The Hunter, which I have a very distinct memory of getting my head cut clean off by after the first time you encounter one in the mansion. So let's see what we're dealing with in here. The inside back of the box actually has a still from the pre-rendered, one of the pre-rendered backgrounds that's from the entryway to the mansion. I believe this would be the dining room. So first off, we have the web spinner, which is one of the smaller drone spiders that will harass you throughout the later section of the game. I believe in the dormitory is where you see most of them. There's a boss version one of these. It's just a bigger one called Black Tiger, even though it's a giant spider. So it looks like this is the target here. That's pretty cool. There's a double action thing that happens, it looks like, where the rear opens and then they've got this flinging thing here. But instead of piles of spiders, you get these strings of spiders, which are rubbery on a web here, but pretty nicely presented otherwise. I guess you could cut them out individually if you really wanted to have that spray of spiders shooting out of this thing. But we'll load them up nonetheless here. See what we can do. You really got to coil them in there, but they keep wanting to try to escape. There we go. So the trick is you got to kind of wad them up and really stuff them back up there. Now this is not exactly a hair trigger, so I'm curious if Jill's rocket launcher even has the force to spring the mechanism. And here's Jill herself with, after some coaxing, I was able to get her to stand. She's got a fair bit more articulation than you might expect. Definitely more than your average Kenner figure. I was surprised to see the hinged ankles. On the back she has this large lever that's part of her aiming and shooting action. And we'll try to get that to work in a minute. Those are the eyes of somebody who's seen quite a bit. There's some nice stamp printing of the STARS logo on her beret there. She's got kind of a utility pouch here on her belt. I guess that's what gives her the 2 extra storage slots than what Chris has. And I don't think you were allowed to be a action video game hero in the 90s without fingerless gloves. Jill's accessory is this large grenade launcher, which is featured in the game and makes Jill's campaign a little bit easier than Chris, I'd say. It has this large, flaming, almost veiny looking fireball that it shoots. So I guess they're flame rounds. That loads, allegedly loads. That's a lot of crunching from inside there. That doesn't seem to want to work. Unfortunately, her grenade launcher will no longer grenade launch, but her action feature does work somewhat. When you push down the lever, she does raise her arm and look slightly to the left. Not quite what they showed on the back of the box. So all that's left to do with Jill here is we got to make sure that she gets covered in spiders. So let's see. I imagine this is going to blast her over. Well, let's see what happens. Oh, the second part didn't fire. There we go. You got spiders on your boots, Jill. Okay, so our spider's reloaded, and let's see if we can get him to actually fling these things. There. Well, at least they launched. I think the problem is that they're just so springy that as soon as they're loose, they flop out and get caught on the spider itself. And there we have it. Jill Valentine versus her arachnid nemesis. Toy Biz, and I was incorrect. It's 1998 that these toys came out, so I believe the year the game takes place, but 2 years after the release in North America. So, figure itself is a pretty good likeness, I think, of Jill from the game and her appearance there. The eyes are a little bizarre. The rocket launcher is, of course, oversized to accommodate the spring mechanism that no longer works. The action feature, pretty underwhelming on both counts, but I gotta give it to the spider for the paint applications are nice on the spider, and the gimmick could have been really cool, but just maybe I'll try cutting up the spiders and see if it'll actually launch him sometime. But that seems like it might actually work better. But yeah, first video in a while, so this one felt a little rough, but hopefully we'll get it together. And the next one got lots of cool stuff piled up to open up and break and fall apart in front of our eyes. So hopefully you'll join me for our next chapter here, and thanks so much for watching.